win. It's your final score of 4-3. Anthony Young pitched 6 innings, 2 earned, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 4 innings pitched. Tomorrow, Turk Wendell starts for the Cubs. Ben.
This year's NFL draft consisted of 2 days, 7 rounds, 222 picks for a grand total of 14 hours and 59 minutes of good old clean fun. Almost. Because on day 1, Mel Kiper, draft expert, criticized the Colts selecting linebacker Trev Alberts instead of quarterback Trent Dilfer. Colts Vice President Bill Tobin took exception and questioned Mel Kiper, draft expert's credentials. While Mel turned his attention back to the draft, Tobin stayed focused on Mel.
What do you want to cover first, our players or that jerk in Baltimore? Well, let me tell you a little bit. I mean, the people in this room. Mel Kiper lives in Baltimore. And I found all this out about the last 3 days. He lives in Baltimore. He tried to hang around the practices up there, I think when Teddy was a coach earlier. And this didn't come from Teddy. This came from another guy. But he always wanted to work in the NFL. He has no credentials to work in the NFL. He always just hung around. Nobody ever hired him. He's never been hired by anyone. When the Colts moved here, he was very, very upset. So every chance that Mel Kiper gets to shoot at the Colts in Indianapolis, he's going to do it. I happen to have 3 minutes to take a shot back at him. What I said there, probably 300 personnel people in the league would like to have said it. But as I walked down the hallway there, Tom Donahoe called me and said that I won the ringing endorsement of the whole Steeler organization. Thank you for saying it. That was Tom Donahoe. He reaches out to everyone. I got a sister in Burlington Junction, Missouri, that when we took William Perry back in '84 or '85, I talked to her 2 days later, and she said, "Why'd you take the fat kid?" And I said, "You just have to believe me, he was the best available." And he was the best available. But, I mean, Mel Kiper gets to your sister. He gets to your mother. He gets to everybody. I just read, somebody wrote the article about the receiver down here at Indiana. Came out 3 years ago. Was supposed to be in the 3rd or 4th round by Mel Kiper. He never was drafted. Wasn't even signed as a free agent. He hurt that kid. But there's others he's hurt. Listen to him trash people. This guy can't do this. This guy's dumb. This guy can't do that. And unfortunately, some of the college coaches out there think that Mel Kiper is part of the National Football League inner circle. And he isn't. Mark Carrier, when we brought him into town that year, I had a TV show with him at 10:30 that night. We sat down there prepping for the show before it happened, and he said, "You know, Mr. Tobin, I thought I was a pretty darn good football player until I got to Chicago," and we flew him in that day, and all I hear is a criticism, and it all came from ESPN Mel Kiper. And so the kid had to dig him out of a grave, himself out of the grave before he could be recognized as a great player, which he was at Southern Cal, and which he is with the Bears. And we will win regardless of what Mel Kiper says.
Bill Tobin said that Mel Kiper doesn't know what he's talking about, but he liked your pick. Now, who do you side with, Bill Tobin or Mel Kiper on this one?
Well, I got to go with Kiper. His track record is better than Tobin's.
We can now say Bill Tobin, Mel Kiper expert. Let's hope that Tobin did as much research on his draft as he did on Mel Kiper. By the way, Mel is from Baltimore. Tobin says that, suggesting that Mel is still upset with the Colts for leaving Baltimore, moving to Indianapolis.
There's nobody who could do more damage to the Colts than Bill Tobin just did in those last 2 minutes, no matter what Mel might say. Goodness, get a life, sir. Well, the 3rd round is the transitional one in the draft. We go from blue chippers to guys named Chip. Here's a review of those selections, starting with a fullback who says, "Goodbye, Columbus. Cincinnati, hello." More draft later, but coming up, the NBA.